Thank you for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. So, if you were asked to describe 2023 in one word, what would you say? Well, the year is coming to an end with many penning down their New Year resolutions and what they hope it would be like for them. For many Nigerians, the removal of fuel subsidy, as well as inflation, amongst others, have taken a toll on them, and better economic stability is in their bucket list, and that's what we'll be discussing now that the year is exiting and a new year is just upon us. Joining us now via Zoom from the United Kingdom to discuss how we can achieve our goals in the new year is Nigerian UK-based chartered accountant. He's also a governance professional, Olanrewaju Sharafa. Thank you for joining us on the program. Compliments of the season. Happy New Year in advance to you. So, in taking stock of the new year, of the year, exiting year, so to speak, tell us how crucial it is to take stock of what you achieved, what you weren't able to achieve, just how far you have gone this year before you take the leap into the new year.
Good morning, Kemi, and thank you so much for that warm welcome. And first of all, I'd like to also appreciate yourself and your team, Ibrahim, and everyone at TVC, just to pay a huge tribute to you for what you do there in TVC. It's not that very easy to start from the January, and going on up to the point where we are right now. This is the time people are very tired. The fatigue was setting, taking into account the several things that have happened from the beginning of the year up to this point. But then this is the moment where we talk about New Year resolution. This is the time people will then have to reflect on their work, reflect on their health, and of course, reflect on their relationship, and perhaps use positive lenses to travel from now to the new year and set some important goals, set some, aspiration, and of course, work towards a meaningful life of how to achieve those new heights and new goals.
Yeah, exactly. Now, looking into 2024, what do you consider the significance of setting goals, both personally and professionally, as we look into 2024?
Well, I think, Ibrahim, what we should be talking about this time around is that people need to start to think about how they can, be themselves. Goal settings are very important, but I think what is also extremely important is we should talk about how to live a meaningful life. So in setting our goals, we must set a parameters, we must set a framework that allows us to capture all the mechanism or capture all the things that helps you to live a meaningful and a successful life. Life is not about chasing money alone. Life is not about, just looking after yourself or thinking about yourself alone. But I think when we set goals for the new year, what we must think about now is how to live a meaningful life. Living a meaningful life means you should follow your passion, you should focus on your purpose, and you should make impact in other people's lives.
And of course, that sounds very, ideal, a meaningful life. But break it down for us, really, because for many people in Nigeria, they battled with, the removal of fuel subsidy, amongst other realities, that, they had to deal with in this new year. And, currently there is also a semblance of a cash crunch, so to speak. So as we go into the new year, how do you deal with these realities in your pursuit of that meaningful life?
Thank you, Kemi. I think it's about understanding a concept that is often referred to as the wheel of life and looking for how to align all the metrics within the wheel of life. The wheel of life, identify factors such as considering your work, considering your health, and considering your relationship. And you should sort of look for alignment, look for satisfaction around those, three key components. Your work related issues will, of course, be looking after your mission, looking after your growth, and looking after your money. Of course, how to align all of this together, making sure that things, you can see clarity into all of this really matters for you in 2024. And when we talk about your health, we're saying that how are you taking care of your physical needs? How are you taking care of your mental health, your spiritual health? And looking for alignment in all of that also matters. And when we talk about relationship, we're saying, have you got good relationship with your partners? Have you got good relationship with your families? Have you got a good relationship with your friends? So alignment of what we call the wheel of life will perhaps help us to, have an achievement, or perhaps help us move towards a meaningful life in 2024.
There are a lot of people who are already looking into how the past years, not just 2023, had fared, so far. Some will feel like the channel or the direction in which they've focused is not really working for them. You talked about not putting money first, but then without money, you might not be able to do anything. And some people who are having mental challenges, some will say, just give them money, you see that they'll be fine. But then in a world that is constantly changing, how do you approach goal setting to ensure adaptability and relevance? Would you advise someone who is on a course and does not feel satisfaction should change that course, even though, probably because the money is not coming as the person is looking at? I don't know whether you get a question.
Well, Ibrahim, I suppose I understand where you're coming from, and if I'm able to pass this, appropriately, or answer this appropriately, I think the starting point of all of this is to perhaps reflect on life and, embrace what I often refer to as a science of gratitude. We have to be able to be grateful for life. That is the first thing, because even though sometimes, the impact of money can go a long way in whatever we do in life. But even if you have the money and you're not somebody who's grateful, you will still feel unsatisfied because you keep chasing some nonsense and some counterfeit. And that's why we said that money is not necessarily should be our driving force in the new year, looking into the new year. Money is good, don't get me wrong. Money is not the evil, it's not the source of or the root of all evil, don't get me wrong. Money creates opportunities, money gives you choices. But then we must live a meaningful life, we must live a purposeful life, and we must make sure we focus on our passion, we must make sure that we develop some, direction and sort for clarity in what we want, whatever we want to do. If you don't have clarity, even if you have the money, you will siphon it or you will just spend it anyhow. So, in a nutshell, I think it's important we look into the future. And I think the most important thing to answer your question, Ibrahim, is that we must live a positive life. It's not right to be negative. It's not right to kind of live a life in fear. It's not right to live life without being positive, without being grateful.
And talking about, setting goals, at intervals, especially, at the brink of the new year, would you also subscribe to compartmentalizing, these goals perhaps into small, medium, big goals? And then how do you go about it? Because some say the bigger the goals, the unachievable the goals can be, as against when you create, smaller, easy to achieve goals.
I think this has to do with self-mastery. The concept of self-mastery suggests that we have to, travel inside within ourselves, understand ourselves, to determine what actually works for me and what actually works for you. So if I can handle big goals, if I can handle, stretching myself, then I set goals that helps me to stretch myself, and I set goals that helps me to kind of, stretch massively. If you cannot handle big goals, just go gently on yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't overstretch yourself. But the most important thing that I suppose is that you must manage to make progress in life. You must, don't leave life blank. I mean, just kind of search for clarity and make sure that you're making progress in whatever aspect of your life. And you cannot be perfect. You cannot be perfect. Just take it easy on yourself. Be kind with yourself. Don't take yourself to a level that you don't understand, and make sure that you're looking after your mental health, your spiritual health, and of course, your physical health.
It is believed that those who are risk takers, they tend to, triumph in all of the whatever they foray into. Talk to us about taking risk, especially looking at 2024. That how much of risk would you be advising people, or I'm not sure how much of risk people are willing to take in 2024. But what is the place of taking risk and striking it successful? Let me just put it that way. And positive
Thank
risk,
you, Brian. Thank you so much, Brian. I think one of my expertise is risk management. I read risk management from the University of Lagos, and I think when we speak about risk, we would also consider what we call the concept of risk appetite. Okay, so risk appetite is to say, what is the capacity of risk I can take? My risk appetite is not the same thing as your own risk appetite. Okay, Mr. B's risk appetite is not the same thing as Mr. C risk appetite. So the starting point of taking a risk is to consider, what is my risk appetite? What is the capacity of risk I can take? And then the concept of calculated risk will then come in. Don't take risks that are not calculated. Okay? Don't take risks. This is life. You don't have two lives. You have just one life. And there must be a sense of urgency in everything that we do in life. But more importantly, it's good to take risk. There are opportunities in risky things. But when you take risk, take calculated risk. Take risk within your risk appetite, and always have a backup.
All right, let's put you on hold and take a break. Olanrewaju Sharafa will come back to continue with this conversation. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. We've been speaking with Olanrewaju Sharafa, a Nigerian, UK-based chartered accountant who is also a governance professional, and he's joining in from the United Kingdom. Thank you, Lanre, for standing by. And I just wanted to take you up further on your insights regarding risk management, especially on the need to leave your comfort zone, so to speak. If you are desiring changes in the new year, of course, it's always been said, if you desire changes, you also need to maybe stop what you have been doing before. You cannot expect changes if you still keep doing what you have been doing all along, and which doesn't give you the needed results. So how do you help people, to take that leap, into uncharted waters, so to speak? And again, what are the pointers? You spoke earlier about knowing your risk appetite, but tell us more, because we probably have come to that point where people also need to take that leap, take that decision, but then you also need to understand where you're at.
Well, Kemi, life generally is very risky, and if we desire some level of changes in our life, we then need to do things in different ways. We cannot do things the same way and get, similar results. A good example of that is the people who have embraced the concept of Japa. So, leaving their comfort zone, abandoning what they built for many years, and then moving abroad for a greener pasture. This is risk. I mean, some people have they took those risks very calculated and well planned, while some people, just seems to make that decision and just wanted to look for a greater opportunity in the future. But the most important thing is that whatever you do, just make sure you're making progress in your life. Whatever decision that you make sure you're making progress in your life. And I often say to people that all of our life are so unique to copy the path of other people. If you've made a decision and you think that's the right decision for you, that's working for you, you're making progress, please just follow up with that decision. Otherwise, you can always reflect, you can always go back to the drawing board. You can even forgive yourself. If you make mistake in the moves that you make, you can forgive yourself and then chart a new course. The new year is an opportunity to begin again. And I often talk about the hitting of the restart button. If you have to restart, restart.
I think about the next question I want to ask you, the more you answer them in your response, especially this is your last response. But then, talking about making progress and looking at some of the prophecies you've probably received, in 2023, a lot of people had their lives prophesied into. And in 2024, expect that some people who believe in their spiritual leaders will go to them, prophesy into their lives and all of that. And this might also create some sort of tension for them, especially when the year runs to an end and they're not able to see what has been prophesied about. How do you feel those people should manage their progress, or to self-reflect and also speak to the fact that those who speak to spiritual leaders in terms of prophesying into the lives of people and not, telling them about how to walk their life or walk the talk in achieving their set goals?
Ibrahim, the concept of spirituality is very wide, and our belief system with respect to spirituality varies from one person to another. There are people who don't believe in, prophecy. There are people who will live all their life based on prophecy. There are people who will not step out in a day without sort of, asking what the day looks like. So our belief system to spirituality varies, and on the basis of that, it's very hard to make comment around that question. But I think for me, I said it earlier at the beginning of this interview, that one of the aspects we have to look out for and look after is make sure that you look after your spiritual well-being and spiritual health. Now, whatever that works for you, whatever approach that you use to connect with your God, just keep using it and just believe in it. If you believe in prophecy, just go for it. If you don't believe in prophecy, then just kind of focus about your life, plug in a sense of urgency into what you want to achieve in life. And I know when I was growing up, my grandmother would always say, oh,
Hello, Lanre Sharafa. Hello, Lanre. All right. It appears we are having some form of network glitch there, connecting with Olanrewaju Sharafa, and so far so good. Fine points he has made. The importance of goal setting. Of course. I probably would have asked, this issue of New Year resolution.
That's right.
And goal setting, perhaps if we could also, help us to make some form of, demarcation, because we all know how far New Year resolutions, I don't know about you, but, New Year resolutions are, is it like, the based riding on emotions of the moment? But then I think you asked that question, how that, yes, I've resolved to be better at what I'm doing, better in my results. But then there is a process that many of us, always, don't abide by, or maybe we don't even have a process in the first place, and then you're talking about you want to get this car, get this house, or make this advancement personally or in your career, and it's good that he's helping to put these things in proper perspective.
Right, that's right. He was even going to say something, because I asked a question about prophecy,
yes,
and how
and we will definitely, we are already getting.
Call you when you were growing up, because
yes.
I remember I was used to be called a pilot, say pilot. So in my mind,
and here you are, piloting.
Is anchoring not part of piloting? So I feel some way you should also do a lot of introspection and check your activity. Your ability and your capability in achieving your set goals. Setting up. Setting certain goals and looking for ways to achieve these goals, positive ways, ways that align with your values and also your morals and all of that. It's a whole lot of things. And just the same way he said he can't wish the ways the place of spirituality. You ask your God, you talk to your God, how do I move about certain things?
There's even a limit to how you can advise people, in form of their spirituality, because right. It's a personal journey, decision,
that's right.
right?
So many things, so many things. I'm not sure whether he's back, but then there's so many questions I would like to ask him about. Also, he himself sharing his own experience about how he is, how he's able to achieve his own professional and strategic goals, which he has achieved. He talked about people who are jackpot, so to speak, is also part of taking certain risk and looking for the greener pastures. Everyone wants to strike it rich in this country or make it become successful one way or the other, but usually what we preach is doing it the right way, where people will say, yeah, this is the good thing that you've done. I saw a story of a 200 level student on X, formerly Twitter, where the mother said he's not going to take the car gift. You're just sent to school, 200 level. How did you get this car? The mother said, you and your car, just get out of my compound. These are mothers with morals, with values, but we should just keep our eyes on people, how they are striving hard to keep up with the Joneses.
Right, and talking about this craze for relocating abroad, because we've always been living with that, right from school days, people that they didn't stay back in Nigeria, they went on to further their studies abroad. But 2023, apparently obviously had, a larger influx of, Nigerians seeking greener pastures. And we don't know, I don't know what people are saying about how next year would be. But I think a point that he made is, and you can also, hazard a guess that it might also increase, even though countries, especially the UK now, are taking stands or taking a stand, so to speak, trying to control the influx of immigrants. But, one takeaway that I think I caught from Mr. Sharafa's take was the issue of, you need to know what fad to follow. And, of course, we know how it's been a, mixed grill for Nigerians seeking greener pastures abroad. So there is, of course, that need to take stock. You know what you're doing. Don't just, take that leap, but, understand what you're doing, understand the dynamics, and don't just, go there and, be lost, so to speak, because some people are struggling. Some people are having it very good. It's, you could say, the best decision of their lives, but it's not the same for everyone. And of course, there is the talk about, and it is true, Nigeria, as it presently is a hotbed of many opportunities that many of us may not be seeing and, and tapping into. So it's just, I think for me now, it's just for one to, sit down, have a good think about your life, where you are, where you want to be. And the role of mentors, is also, another thing I would have wanted to ask him about. Where is the place of mentors?
Mentorship that you mentioned,
how crucial is it? Some people will say, no, I don't believe in it, because he was also talking about, don't just copy. But then an element of mentorship, at least from what I see, is you want to be like the person. You want the person to groom you into achieving as much as he or she has done. But then where do you go? How far do you go in, in your mentorship drive?
Maybe those both of us and some elderlies or some people of who have been following.
And it happens that Olanrewaju Sharafa is back. Thank you very much. We're just trying to dissect some of the themes some of the insights you have dropped in the conversation so far. Perhaps you may also want to, I don't know whether you remember where you stopped, but if you want to build up on that point, we're talking just now about mentorship, the place of mentorship as you strive for a better year ahead.
I think thank you, Kemi. I was shocked when I was kicked out of the studio. I didn't realize there was a connection. But I think you're very correct. It's important we talk about mentorship in terms of, goal setting, personal life achievement, and making progress in life. The role of a mentor is very important. We have people who have passed through what we intend to go through in life, and we can enjoy from their wealth of knowledge. We can draw from their guidance. We can rely on their, them navigating for us. And I think I cannot overemphasize that everybody needs to look for a mentor in the new year, or some of us needs to look for a mentor in the new year. and they would play a huge role in our success, factor.
Interesting. I'm also looking at the role of technology in being able to set goals. Are there specific tools or apps that you find helpful in staying organized and focused on your objectives? Let me see if there's anything you want to share with us, with our viewers as we speak.
Sure, Ibrahim. One of the things that kills goal is the inability to manage our time. We must make sure that we are able to manage our time. We must make sure that we're able to distribute our time wisely so that we can, perhaps achieve the goals that we set for ourselves. So the role of technology is very important. Knowing how to block your diary, for example, using Google Calendar, for example, exploring the opportunity to kind of join Teams meeting, collaborate on Teams, collaborate using Zooms. And, there are different apps that can also help you to organize your life as well. So these days, IT has actually helped us to simplify things and get things going well for all of us. And we must use that as professionals towards achieving our goals in 2024. And this is goals relating to, work, and sometimes even goals relating to life. You can then now use your, app to manage your movement, the level of your, how much exercise you're doing in a day. So there are apps that can track all of that for you. So I think IT is very important towards achieving our goals.
Okay, you spoke, briefly about it, but I want you to, help people achieve work-life balance. How can they achieve it? Because, many people are on break at the moment. In a few days' time, it all starts again. The cycle starts again, and there are benefits, as you have said, in living a life of fulfillment, so to speak. But in achieving work-life balance, especially for people who still have to work, who have to travel, and yet, the place of the family is where you will come back to. Help us understand what people can do in having realistic work-life balance.
Kemi, in my own personal life, what I've noticed is that it's very difficult to say to an adult how to live his life. But one of the things that I've realized that have really helped for somebody like me as an individual is what I would like to call reflective practice, self-mastery, and the ability to discover myself more and more. And this is the only thing I would like to leave some of our viewers with, or that I would like to share with some of our viewers as adults that we're struggling with self-life balance, we're struggling with how to balance our work life, personal life, relationship life, spiritual life. My advice is let us embark on a strong, mission to self-discovery. When you embark on a mission to self-discovery, and once you discover yourself, you might even realize that the jumping up and down is not the way of life that you personally require to succeed. Sometimes we often think that it is until when we work late, it is until when we work weekend, it is until when we, push ourselves to the extreme before we make it in life. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it is the time that you slow down, you take some rest. That's when your brain is able to process ideas. That's when you're able to develop, very great ideas that makes you successful in life. So I will personally recommend, self-discovery, self-mastery, understand yourself, and then that's the point where you can develop strategy to align or to balance your life and live a meaningful life. You cannot live a meaningful life by chasing money. A meaningful life can be lived by, of course, focusing on your passion, developing, a purposeful life, and making positive impact.
All right, Olanrewaju Sharafa, it's a fine place to rest our conversation for now. Thanks a lot for speaking with us from the UK. Mr. Sharafa is a Nigeria, UK-based chartered accountant and governance professional. Happy New Year in advance to you.
Happy New Year, Kemi. Happy New Year, Brian. Thank you.
Right.